Hi, this is Matt Jackson and Kelly Stover here with the fourth video in our series of Microsoft Excel tutorials. This video will focus on two particularly powerful tools. The first is called Vlookup. It allows you to use one value to look up a related value in another table. For example, with our data set, we might be interested in introducing the cost of the machine from sheet 2 into column E on sheet 1. While you could go through and input them yourself, VLOOKUP is a much quicker method for doing this. We'll enter the new heading in the first row of column E, machine cost. Next, we'll enter the formula into the next cell down. Start with an equal sign to tell Excel that this is a formula. Then enter the function name, VLOOKUP, and the open parentheses. The first argument is the value we would like to look up, so we'll click on cell A2 and then enter a comma. Then the next argument is the table for Excel to look into, so we'll have to click on sheet 2, the sheet 2 tab, and highlight the two columns of the table and enter another comma. The next argument asks for the column you want to look in. For us, that would be the second column, so we enter the number 2 and another comma. The column number count always starts with the first column of data identified as the lookup array. So if this same table were located in any other place, this number would always be 2. The final argument is entered as false, which means that we will look for an exact match. The first cell in this column is now filled by the cost of machine 1. Now to propagate this number down the column, you can hover over the lower right corner of the cell until the plus sign shows up, and then double click, applying the formula for the whole column. One important thing to remember about this formula is that if you do not highlight the columns of the lookup table, but just the table, you'll have to anchor the formula with $signs in the argument. For example, we'll do the same formula in the next column over, only this time highlighting the table and not the whole columns. The formula will now say A1 to B84 instead of AB. In the first cell, it will give us the same response as the previous trial, but if we try to propagate the answer, it responds with a value not available. This is because Excel modifies the formula upon going down the row. If we look in cell F2, the lookup table is now A2 to B85. The formula no longer has. This is because Excel modifies the formula upon going down the row. If we look in cell F2, the lookup table is now A2 to B85. The formula no longer has access to the first row of our table. To prevent this, we use the $sign as an anchor in the formula. We'll go back to cell F2 and modify the formula. If placed before the letter, the number can still change, and vice versa. Because we want the table not to change at all, we'll enter the $sign in front of both terms like so. Now if we propagate the formula down the column, we'll get the same values as the first time we did it. Pause. Good. The next tool we will look at in this video is called a pivot table. It allows us to summarize our data in many different ways, all with simple clicks of buttons. To start, we'll highlight the first 4 columns of sheet 1, and next we'll go to the Insert menu in the Tool ribbon and select Pivot Table. We want a new worksheet, so we'll say OK to the default settings. We'll get the pivot table box on the left and a field list on the right. The field list is all drag and drop. Let's say you want to find the average yield percentage of each machine. First, we'll drag resource type into the row label area, and then yield percentage to the values section. The default for the values section is account. To change this to an average, click on the small triangle and select Value Field Settings. This brings up a menu of all possible values Excel can return. Let's say that instead of the average yield percentage, we're instead interested in the number of parts that can be made with that machine. We'll have to remove yield percentage from the values section by clicking the triangle and selecting Remove Field. Next, drag Part Num to the values section. This gives a count of all the parts that can be produced with this machine. Say we only want to, oh boy.
Okay.
Say we...
You can move that, I guess.
Only want a count of the parts that take only less than 150 seconds. Is that good?
Yeah. Hold on. Okay.
2 sentences to go. Oh,
it's still rolling.
Oh, okay, how about that? Say we only want a count of the parts that take only less than 150 seconds. We can drag time to machine to the filter section, and it will show as a filter in the table, and all filter options are available. This concludes the VLOOKUP and pivot table tutorial. Thanks for watching, and God bless.
Perfect.
This concludes the VLOOKUP and pivot table tutorial. Thanks for watching.